Hi. Today we're going to be taking a look at this photography studio flash unit. And a viewer called Steve sent me this to have a look at. Apparently he's had it to an official repair centre and they returned it to say that the part was no longer available and they seemed uninterested in going with it any further. So he asked me would I be able to have a look at it. It's quite a large device, this. It sort of reminds me of, I don't know if anybody remembers the game Duke Nukem, where he's got this RPG launcher thing, but it kind of reminds me of one of those. But, right. So, this has got a flash unit and something called a modelling light that goes in it. And it's the modelling light that isn't working. So I'll just remove this cover here. I think you pull this and then this bit comes off. Let's put this to one side. And what we've got is a modelling light that screws in here. And he sent us a new light, so I'll just get that out of the box. So this is the modelling light here. I'm just going to get this foam stuff out because I'm not sure whether you can touch this or not. Right, so we'll just check that this lamp is actually working. And yes, we've got about 18 ohms on there. Now it's going to be more than an on-off switch because apparently it's got like a soft start and you can control the brightness level. So whether it's got some kind of triac in here or something to control the light, I don't know. But I'm sure we'll find out. Right, so I've read the instructions, and the other thing it says, if this light doesn't work at the front, is to check the fuses. And there's two fuses in the back of it here. So I'm just gonna, if you can see them there, we've got two fuses. Maybe a bit awkward to get this in shot. I'll just try and, right, there we go. And just sort of get it there maybe. So I'll go on the back fuse. I can get my probes on properly there without it moving about. There we go. And let's try the other fuse. Right, so the two fuses are okay. So let's power it up and we'll see what's going on. Now whether or not it'll cause havoc with my microphone when this thing goes off, I do not know, but we shall find out. Right, I'm just going to power it up now. So this is the flash test button, so watch your eyes. And we can turn the flash power up to something like that, and you'll see it'll be a lot stronger. There we go. And that means it's reducing the voltage of the flash when it's flashing like that. So the thing that's not working is this thing modelling light, which you can set to either maximum, user, so you can set it to a user level, which you can control with the buttons on the back here, or relative, which means it'll be relative to the brightness of the lamp will be relative to the flash output power, or so it says in the manual. So if I set this to max, we can see the max lights lit up, the fans kicked in, but the light isn't lit. And the same if we try on user, we don't get anything. And rel is relative to the flash power, so if we turn the flash power up, this light should be getting brighter now, and it isn't. And it should be getting dimmer there as far as I understand it, but it's not doing anything. And if I press this again, it should turn the light off like so. So in the manual it says to change the bulb, because I think I might have to take the flash tube out of this to take it apart. I'm not 100% yet because I think I might have to take this front cover off. It says leave it for 30 minutes before changing the tube to give the capacitors a chance to discharge in here, because I think there's going to be quite a number of or some large capacitors in here, and I think if we touch those we might end up having a bad day. So I'm going to leave this for half an hour just to discharge, and then we'll come back to it. Right, so it's been about 30 minutes. I thought I'd put some gloves on just in case this bulb gets damaged by touching it, so because I know some bulbs are sensitive to things like grease on your fingers. Let's see if we can get this flash tube out, because I don't want to risk breaking it. So, oh, this seems to have a, I don't know if that's a security Torx there, holding it in, so I don't know how, because you can't get a screwdriver behind it. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to remove this bulb. And that's rather tight. What will I do here? Let's see if I can get some pliers. I'm just going to have a look, see if there's any instructions on how to change the flash tube on one of these. Right, I'll be back in a mo. Right, I've figured it out. You've got to unwind this trigger wire. It's actually just wrapped around on itself. There we go. Right, carefully put this to one side so it doesn't get broken. Right, so I can see, I think 3 Allen keys here. Let's see if I've got a Allen key to fit those. Yeah, I think I need to take these gloves off. I've never been able to wear gloves for very long. They always seem to irritate my hands, so right, I'll take these off. Right, that's better. Oh. Right, what's happened here then? I can see some metal. Oh, they must be supports. Ugh. Oh no. This doesn't look good. I've got bits of ceramic bits and all sorts here now. I've got some brass bushes there. And it still doesn't want to move up because of some wires connected to it. There we go. There's another one of those brass bushes. Let's get them out of the way. And another bit of ceramic. I think these must be spacers. So I guess there must be another one of these ceramic things somewhere. Maybe it's fell inside. Right, so there's the connections for the modelling light, and they seem to disappear somewhere inside there. I think that's about as far as I can get this at the moment. Let's have a look at the other end. I'm just going to put this back just on top for now so it's not flopping around. Right, so on the back end, it looks like we've got some rubber things here. Okay, there's 4 of them, so I guess there must be screws underneath those. I'll if I can take this stand off as well. Right, let's get that out of the way. Let's see if we can get these little rubber things out. Well, there's one of the rubber things out. Well, there isn't any screws in those ones. It's just a plastic hole. Let's try these ones. It's a little bit awkward to work on this. Just with it being a bit of a size. Right, there's one rubber bung up. Yes, and there's some Phillips screws underneath this side. Right, and there's the other rubber bung out. Right, so that's the 2 screws out. And this part comes off. We've got a little, see, a little infrared sensor down there. A little infrared window on top of it, IR filter. So I guess that must be for some kind of remote control. Let's turn this over. You can hear that bit of ceramic inside there now. So I wonder if we've got to remove this lever. So that pulls that pin there. So I wonder if we've got to take this off. Let's find another screwdriver. See if there's a screw or something under here. Yes, thought there might be. Can we get the side off now? Well, you can see a nice big diode down there. I'm just going to do this earth strap so I can get this side bit out of the way. I'll just remove that strap, and then we'll put these back on here so I don't lose them. Put that to one side. Let's see if we can work out where those wires go. And it looks like they actually go here. So it looks like those are the wires for the modelling light. I can see some rather large capacitor down there, or a rather large, as the two. There might be two down there. You can just see them. Just down here. So how does this board come out? Tell you what I'm going to try. I'm just going to pop the light back in just to see, because it could just be something as simple as the holder. Just before we get into it any further. Let's get that going shot. Right, so we've got 18 ohms there. Right, so it's not the holder, and we've got continuity up to here. Right, so let's see if we can figure out what controls this bulb then. And this wire here looks like it goes to there. We've got two little transformers here, which look like the trigger transformers for the main flash unit. Trying to figure out where to start with this. Right, I'm just going to unplug this ribbon cable. Let's see if I can get this top panel out of the way. Not sure if that's possible or not. See if we can do the other side. I'm just going to unplug this connector here. I'm just going to get that bit of ceramic out. Right, well I know that's the trigger, so we'll take that one off. Right, I'm just going to take a photo of this board, just so I know where all these connections go. And I'll disconnect it and we'll see if I can get this board out. Right, I think that'll do. Right, let's unplug some of these wires now. So we've got two wires with black stripes on here. I don't know whether they both go to the same place or not. There's got a lot of cables on this. It still doesn't really give us much more access, even unplugging those, because there's more cables soldered on there. Right, what's that black wire? That goes to the strobe. There's quite a bit on the bottom of this board as well. You can sort of see there a bit. I can't see any obvious signs of anything blown or whatever up to now. Right, I'm just going to have a look over, see if I can work out what sends power to this connector. Right, so I've unsoldered this wire here, just from here, just to give her a bit more access on the board. And this is what I've worked out so far. So the mains comes in on these two cables here. We've got live and neutral. So this is where the modelling lamp goes to. So if we go on the neutral here, it's just connected pretty much straight to this contact here. And it's the live that's switched. So what we've got here is a triac, which is a BTA 16800B. So one of the pins of the triac is connected to this pin here, and the other pin, the center pin here, which gets switched when the gate pin gets activated. So it switches from here to here. It's connected to the live. So if I just go on the live here, it goes through a little bit filter and there's a coil and capacitor or whatever. It goes to the middle pin here, as we can see, and then this pin goes to here. So the gate pin goes around here to this little opto isolator, and we've got a couple of resistors just around there. One's just to drop the power slightly to the gate pin, and this opto isolator then goes back over to this microcontroller here. So I'll just go into beat mode here, and if I go on to this resistor here, and it was somewhere over the back of this, there we go. So the microchip pin, the output of the microcontroller, goes to this resistor here, through the resistor to the LED in this opto isolator, which then triggers the triac, which then makes the bulb light up. Now, I'm not sure about failure modes of triacs, or if the triac's faulty. So what it could be so far is this triac could have failed. It could be the opto isolator, or it could be the output pin on the microcontroller. But it's going to be quite hard to test this, because to try and get it together and powered up with these big capacitors and that and stuff, which is a bit and then trying to measure voltage on here, so I'm not sure how I'm going to actually tackle this one at the moment. The other thing it could be is this microcontroller has also got to sense the incoming supply, because it needs to know when to switch this triac on and off. So if you think of the mains coming in like a sine wave like that, we've got the crossover point in the middle. So it needs to know what part of the phase we're actually into to actually turn on this triac at the correct time. Otherwise it could be turned on when the main cycle's full, which would be flashing on and off and things like that. So it needs to sort of switch on, if let's say if one's half brightness, it needs to switch on as sort of halfway up this waveform each time. So it needs to know, so it needs to synchronize with the mains frequency as well. So that's the other thing it could be. Right, I have to think of how to tackle this. Thought I'd bring the microscope in just to make it a bit easier to see what's going on here. So this is the part of the circuit here that controls the modelling light, and that's where it plugs into. And this is the triac here. This is the gate of the triac that's controlled by this opto isolator. Now, I was just measuring some of the other opto-isolators here. If I measure this one, if I go on these two pins here, we're not getting any, well, we're getting about 9 meg. If I just move the microscope along slightly, we've got two other opto-isolators here as well. And if I measure this one, we get about 372 k ohms. And if we measure this one, again, we'll get about 372 k. Right, let's go back over to this one then. And if we notice, it's pretty much the same circuit, it's just got slightly different resistors, but this is the input, and there's a 330 ohm resistor here, which comes from the microcontroller and then feeds power to the opto-isolator to switch it on. The other terminal is just connected to the neutral or ground. So if I just try and get the neutral in shot there. So if I go from the neutral here, and that pin, yes, we can see there on the meter, and that goes to neutral. So this pin goes through this resistor to the microcontroller. However, if I go to this side of the resistor, we'll get about 372 k. But on this side of the resistor, not a lot. So if I measure this resistor here, and that's supposed to be 330 ohms. So that resistor. So I'm going to see if I can find one of those, and then we'll replace it, and then we'll see if it works. Right, I've managed to find the resistor, so I'm going to put a bit flux just on this one, and then hopefully we'll just be able to remove this. Yeah. Right, well, that came off fairly straight away. I wonder if it was just a dry joint on this resistor. I think I'm going to solder wick those pads off. Yeah, the board's at a bit of an angle, so it's a little bit awkward to work on. Was that a bit of the end of the resistor there? Yeah, I think that's a bit of the end of the resistor. Let's see if there's anything left on this pad as well, because it looks like there's something there. No, I think that's okay. Right, I'm going to add a little bit of flux on there again. I'm going to put a bit of solder on my iron first, and then try and hold this one in place with the tweezers. Right, let's try and get this in place. Right, let's get the test meter out again and let's see what we get now. Right, 330 ohms, so we should get about 70, was it 470 or so? Right, so we're getting about 470 on there now, so that looks better. Let's just compare it again to this one. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to start putting it back together. We'll give it a test and then hopefully that should be it. So I was just wondering whether it was a dry joint or whether this resistor was actually faulty. So I thought I'd just try measuring it here. Right, well, I'm not getting any reading on that. Oh, there it is. I can see what's happened. It's only got the silver bit on one side. It's actually came off on this side. There's no there's no silver part. I'll see if I can zoom down just to show you. I'll try and get that in the shot there. Yeah, look, it's only got the silver part on this side of the resistor, and it isn't on there. So that's what's happened, that's the problem. There's no silver contact on this part of the resistor. Right, let's get this put back together then. Right, so the first thing I want to do is solder this wire back on that I removed. So put a bit fresh solder on this point. And maybe turn my iron up with it again. Right, there we go, that's in it. Right, I'm just going to spin this round so I can see where things go. Right, so I have these two negative wires from the capacitors going here, and incidentally there's a big resistor down here which is across the capacitors, which is like a bleeder resistor, so it discharges the capacitors once they've actually got charge in and they're not being recharged. So once the unit hasn't got any power, or if you turn the flash power down, this capacitor is used to discharge the capacitors. So right, not the easiest thing to work on. This is the positive from the capacitor here, and I just need to double check. I'm sure it went there, but I'll just double check that. That went to the other control panel. I just need to double check which wire went here. So I'm just going to refer back to my photograph just to be sure. Right, so this one went here, and this one went behind it, like that, and that went to the control panel along with that one. Right, so that's those back in place. I'm just going to spin this round again. Right, let's get this control panel now. Oh, and the button's just popped off. Put that back on in a moment. Right, we need this light as well. Right, that needs to go back onto there. Right, we need to put this earth strap on. So I'll just get the other half of the case. Right, you put this button back on. I'm just going to pop a screw in here just to hold this together for now. I can move these wires out of the way of that sensor. That bit in place. I'm saying, got this bit of plastic to go on. This little window. Right, then we have these two big screws. Right, so that's the back of it back together now. Now I need to sort out this front part because there was a few bits falling off and that and stuff as well. It's a bit of a nightmare, this thing, especially to take apart. And I've got these two little springs that have came out of somewhere. I'm not 100% where they're from, they just fell out. So I need to try and figure out where they're from. Where was that screw from? Ah, that one's out the handle, that's where that one was from. Right, so I've got these three brass bush things, these 3 insulators, these 3 screws, and these 2 springs. Now there is some, I don't know if you can see them or not, there is some metal strips here, so I'm just wondering if the springs go in these somewhere to hold the front in place. That's the only thing I can think. Right, so it was a bit hard to film getting the top bit back on because I had to have it on my knee and upside down and all sorts, because these bits, you've got to have this bit upside down to get these insulators in, otherwise they drop inside, and one of them did, and then I was shaking it around trying to get them out and stuff. So yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare. Right then, so before I fit the flash tube, I wonder if this will work without it, just to try the modelling light. Right, let's get the bulb and we'll try it. Right, where's my mains lead? Here we go. Right, so far so good. So, lamp is this one. Yes! Well, it's lit up. So that's on rel, which I guess is relative to the flash. So I press that again. That's user, and that's max, and that's off. Yes, so that's what it was. It was that resistor. So we'll put the flash tube back in. We'll give it a final test, and then we'll wrap up the video. Let's take this bulb back out for the moment. I'll get this flash tube put back in. Now I'm just going to give it a few moments for the capacitors to discharge. Maybe actually see if there's any voltage in those with the test meter. Let's have a look. I don't know if my probes will reach. No, I don't think my probes are going to reach. That's a shame. Put the bulb back in now. I've got the stand to go back on. Right, let's power it up. Right, let's try the flash. Yeah, let's just try it on full power. Poof. Yeah, that works. Right, let's try the modelling light, which should be this button here. So if I turn this up, is that on? No, it's on max, so hang on. If I set that to relative, as I turn the flash up, this should adjust, and it does. Right, so I'd say that's all working then. Excellent. Right, another successful repair on this one then. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.